Hello. I am Perez Hilton, and you are watching AntiNews. AntiNews, for those of you who are soulless, catty, ginger shills, that is the podcast for you and me.
Hi, welcome back to another fantastic episode of your least trusted name in news. It is, of course, the AntiNews with myself, Dan Smuts, and the beautifully here face-to-face Ginger Craig. Face-to-face Ginger Craig, how you doing?
I am great. I used to be illustrious, but apparently I'm not illustrious anymore.
Nah, you've lost your luster over the years. You dimmed down a bit. But,
sad.
How have you been over the last month since we last did one of these things?
Has it been that long?
Well,
I'm gonna
we
do that
them once a month, so
I'm gonna do that every time.
Yeah, that will never get old.
Has it been that long? Last time it was 2 months.
Anything new in the Craig world?
Let's see. I've gone on a couple little mini vacations before, which was kind of nice in the last couple weeks. I went to North Carolina out of the winter, and then I went to Colorado into more winter. Went skiing with your father.
Yes.
Our father, which
It'd be strange if we weren't brothers and you're going skiing with my father.
With our father who art in heaven.
I heard that you got buried up to your neck in snow.
Oh, dear God,
I was about to get your way down a mountain.
It wasn't necessarily my neck, but it was pretty damn close. So they got in 3 or 4 days leading up to us going, they got 40 inches of snow.
Wow.
The day we were driving there, we kept getting reports that the tunnel, I don't know if you remember going there, the ski place is like right on top of the tunnel through the mountain.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes.
That tunnel was closed due to a blizzard. So our father, which art in heaven,
yes,
decided we're gonna push. The GPS, Google Maps is saying this road's not closed. We should go this route instead, which isn't the main route. The tunnel's on the main interstate, so if that's closed, everything else is probably dog shit.
Sure.
So we started going up the mountain. Once we hit Denver, there was no snow at all until we hit Denver, which is right at the base of the mountains. Once we hit Denver, it was just like freaking shit show. And we start going up this like windy ass road going like 5 miles an hour because other people are trying to as well. Surprisingly, on that road, if you keep going,
how long is this fucking story?
You asked. There's a freaking town that is like all casino town. It's like a hidden freaking mountain Vegas. There's like probably 50 casinos in this little mountain town, and that is literally all in this town.
Do they have mountain strippers that are like bearded?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We didn't get that far. You know how Dad likes his strippers. He has his standards. So they stopped us there, fortunately, because we probably would have kept going and got stuck. So we went back to Denver that night. The next day, I've skied on normal like pack snow before, and I find that I'm a pretty good skier. I realized really fast on this super powdery shit that I'm a horrible skier because I had no idea how to make this work. My skis kept going straight down into the powder, and I would go face first into a pile of snow. So start getting it kind of figured out. We're going up the lift for the last time. And I don't know if you remember. I don't know how long it's been since you've been there. I think you've went once since I did last.
You did, yeah. It's still been forever.
There's one lift that you can get off in the middle of the lift or get off at the end, at the top.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to Dad, not paying attention as I usually do. And we're getting ready to take this one.
Top.
No, the opposite. I jumped off in the middle because I wasn't paying attention. And, there's this one route we would take, an easy route from the top all the way to the bottom. We were planning on doing that. It was going to be our last time. And Dad's like, well, hopefully we don't get lost. Of course, he freaking had to jinx us. So I happened to hop off in the middle. So he stayed on. He's like, I'll just meet you there. He met me there, and we're like, let's cut across off of the beaten path across to where we were typically going to ski. Little did we know, it was like pretty much a black diamond level slope and powder like sunk up to your waist. Sweet. Because I would start skiing and I would fall, and I would get up, and you had to like climb out of the snow to get on skis. So I did try to like scoot my ass down, and I got next to a tree, which was even worse. It was just like a black hole that sucked me in towards the tree trunk. And finally, after probably 45 minutes, I decided to sit on my skis like a sled and sled my way down on my skis. I was just fed up and done and exhausted, and there's no air up there. And I was just like, this is bullshit. The next day was even powderier because they had snow showers, which was another 8 inches of snow. Their snow showers are like shut down the town here. But I figured out how to ski on the powder, and we kind of stayed off of that other bullshit. And the next day was okay, but
well, good.
Exhausting.
Glad to hear it. Anyway, this is the place where we talk about the news.
Freaking brought it up.
I should have known what I was getting into. This is a place where we talk about the news, we drink the drinks, smoke the smokes, and have a good old jolly time in watching the world burn and poking fun at it while it does. So with that, Craig, what are you drinking and what are you smoking? And we are not going to spend any more time than that on this time.
I'm actually smoking this time, not douche fluting, which I do have that somewhere too. But I'm smoking just something random I found in my house. I think it's black and gold Cavendish tobacco, and that's usually what I have on hand. I haven't smoked in like 2 months, so I don't know. I'm drinking. This is really interesting because I forgot to see what this was called. So I'm smoking something I have no idea what it is I found in my house, and I'm drinking some bourbon that Mandy bought me that I have no idea what it's called. I can't remember, so that's as far as I'm going to go.
Sounds
it's
legit.
Really good bourbon and good tobacco.
Sometimes I drink cheap stuff, and I'm ashamed to say what it is too.
Now, this ain't cheap. This was a Valentine's present. Well, it better not be cheap.
Yeah.
It was in a fancy bottle, so it must be okay.
Well, I am trying to cut back on the vapes, so I might not be vaping at all, but I currently have the typical. I've got basically leftovers in my tank right now. It's strongly of
leftover combo.
My coil is on its last leg, and so I just put in some of that lemon pounder with some like pistachio nut cookie, and then I put something else on top of that. I don't remember what. So it currently tastes like burnt garbage, and I'm
so the leftover combo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hang on just a second. I got to plug my laptop in, so I'm gonna crawl under my desk. Keep talking
good.
though.
Oh, hang on, but don't stop.
Talk. Just keep talking.
Well, in addition to that, I am drinking Kratom from Brave Botanicals, and I have been enjoying that. John Bush sent me over a free sample. If you listen to the show, you would know, and I'm not gonna tell you because you don't deserve to know because you don't listen to anybody but yourself. Brave Botanicals.
That sounds like hippie bullshit. Commie hippie bullshit.
And it's great.
Is it alcohol?
No.
Oh. Is it like flower juice?
Leave it at that.
It's like
pretty much.
Are you drinking essential oils?
It's from the coffee family, and it's plant, and it's calming, has calming effects.
Which
and
episode do I need to listen to?
The Kratom episode.
The what?
Kratom episode.
Kratom. Okay.
You don't even pay attention at all, do you? And I do have on deck for when that is done, which is probably a bad idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've got the usual Fear Movie Lions by Stone. It's a double IPA, and it's my jam. But
why is that a bad idea?
I don't know, because I don't know how the combination will work, but we will find out. Anyway, in my local news, before we jump into the things that really matter, I got a new dog, and that's all I will say about that. And I got a new car, and that's all I'll say about that.
What kind of car did you get?
We got a newer Impala, or not Impala, Prius.
Prius. You love your Priuses.
I do.
Bullshit.
50 miles per the gallon. Can't argue too much with that.
I drive a 95 GMC 1500 pickup. It gets probably 13 miles to the gallon.
5 miles to the gallon.
Well, that's in town. I'm talking on the highway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. We got a good deal on it from a guy he's a Russian dude, and he's freaking hilarious, and he likes making fun of Americans and likes Americans making fun of Russians, and we got along well. And he seems like he probably knows some guys who could take care of some guys if you need such services in business.
Those are my favorite type of guys.
Yeah, but he was unloading it for cheap-ish because it was like really cheap for what it is. Unloading it for cheap because he's going through his 4th divorce, and he's like, I am not letting her have a damn thing.
Ooh, I love divorce sales. Love them.
Of course.
Like, I went to North Carolina. I said, I'm not going to get really deep into it, but I was hanging out with a friend that I was in the military with. And I used to golf back in the day before I was in the military, just for fun. And I went down there, and all of a sudden, this guy's taking up golfing too. He's like, hey, let's go golfing. All right, cool. So then I came back, and I was like, you know what? I want to start doing that again. So I looked online for a cheap set of golf clubs. I found a really nice set for pretty cheap for what they were. And I get there, and the guy was like, yeah, it's a really good deal. This is my fiance's ex-husband's set. That's why we're selling them so cheap. I was like, I love a good divorce sale.
Thank you. Yeah, I enjoy what we got better than, the ex-wife unloading his stuff. I enjoy the story of this guy had like 5 cars, and he was like, I'll buy more after this all goes through, but I'm not giving her half of all my cars. I'll sell them and buy them back.
I like it. I like it a lot.
He was cool. Yeah, I think the rest, I watched the Libertarian debate. We might touch on that briefly, but that's technically real news. So we'll just get into real news now.
We might miss the Dem debates tonight. And
I'll go back and rewatch it.
Mr. Bloomberg is on the stage for the first time
I cannot
ever.
fucking believe when I heard that there was another debate. I can't believe it. There's been like 10, and nothing
Michael had
new.
to get on.
I know that I am more interested because of that, and we're going to talk about all of that. Let's get into what you're here for, which is the actual news. Before that, let's roll this intro. Ready, set, go.
All I ask is, if we have to give these bastards our lives, we give them hell before we do!
The tragedy of our day is the climate of fear in which we live.
Talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing.
I would ask the congressman to withdraw that comment and tell us that he didn't really mean that. I don't know what I said. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The Bible commands that certain people be put to death.
Thieves or possesses weapons of mass destruction. 9/11 attacks were carried out by Al Qaeda.
Handle the truth.
I remember that with that smoke! We are still here!
We have to say yes to social justice.
No. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
And we're back. Welcome back to this thing, the AntiNews. Again, this is where we watch the world burn, and we laugh at it while it does so, and we just warm our cockles over the flames. I like I mentioned, I did watch the first Libertarian debate, and I did find it very entertaining. There's a lot of really good candidates. I think last time there was a decent amount. I enjoyed Austin Peterson and, of course, John McAfee. But this time we've got some great candidates. I would say, long story short, my favorite is still Vermin Supreme. Whether you think he's a joke or not, he's brilliant. His whole thing is like, he actually has good points to make.
He's actually in the debate. I did not realize that.
Yeah,
I thought
he
it was
actually
all a joke.
won in New Hampshire.
Wow.
But yeah, his whole thing now is like, he's serious during the debate. He's not just up there spouting off nonsense. But he says, you know, I've got this character, and this character has a lot of notoriety on the internet. All the kids love me, and it would be a great way to get some eyes on us, and that to say that we are a serious party that is willing to put up a joke candidate because this whole thing's a joke, and his slogan is like hashtag we're in on the joke too, or something like that. And I just find him hilarious and just fantastic. He's everything that I want in a presidential candidate because he doesn't take it seriously. My second pick would be Adam Kokesh, who is straight up anarchist, who says that he's going to shut the government down once he's elected. Of course, neither of them will ever get close, and but I just love listening to both of them talk because of their radical, crazy views and the way that they speak with passion. Adam Kokesh.
Do either of them have a chance of getting the party nominee?
Unlikely, because there are serious, like ones that would be taken more broadly serious. Like Hornberger is my third pick, and if I had to, like, if it was a vote for somebody that I think could win, it would be him. The other two I just love listening to. Adam Kokesh was like, people keep asking me, like, isn't it unconstitutional for me to, shut down the government without, constitutional approval or whatever? And he was like, yes, it is. And that's the fucking point. He's like, I'm not concerned about what's constitutional. I'm concerned about the Declaration of Independence and letting people be free. So he'll never get anywhere.
The same people that say that it's unconstitutional to just shut down the government are saying anything about all these wars we keep going to without congressional approval.
Yes. Yeah, and then there was can't remember his name, Mark Whitney, I believe. He was pretty good. He's fairly new to the party, but he's a comedian and he's really good. And then there was the lady Joe something. I don't remember her name. She was very forgettable. And Lincoln Chaffee, who is worthless. But that doesn't matter, and you'd likely have zero input on this because you don't follow that type of stuff.
No, not really. But I might now that Vermin Supreme's actually on the
You should.
ticket.
I hope I hope he at least gets to stay in the debates for a good while because he's a lot of fun. But speaking of politics, we got to talk about the latest Democrat darling. So ironically, Michael fucking Bloomberg. Craig, do you have any thoughts on Michael Bloomberg?
All I know is, last I heard, I haven't read into it. Last I heard, there's a chance Mr. Bloomberg, and this is probably why he's in the debate now, Mr. Bloomberg said that he would consider putting Hillary on the ticket as his running mate, which coincidentally, all of a sudden, Michael Bloomberg's, coincidentally, all of a sudden, he's in the running qualifies for the debates, which what qualifies you for the debates? Like that, I don't really understand. Do you have to have so much money? Because last I heard people bitch about so much money in politics, but then they're like, oh, you can't be on the debate unless you have so much money. That's the thing about
Michael Bloomberg is he is literally buying the election. He's like forking over billions of dollars. That might be an exaggeration, but millions and millions of dollars on his campaign and ads and everything. Like you can't turn around without seeing a Michael Bloomberg ad. And it's just hilarious because, as we'll get into, Michael Bloomberg is all the things that Donald Trump, what they say he is. He's every single one of them, like for real and worse. But because he could beat Donald Trump, he's their guy that they're loving now. He's buying an election, basically, straight up. There is actual evidence of racism, sexism. He's a rich white billionaire. Like, just the sheer hypocrisy. Like anybody but Trump, including somebody worse. It's just beautiful.
Have you read? Did you read some of the stuff that was all over the internet? Some of the sexist things that he said in his time in office to women and to like interns and stuff like that. I have the article somewhere. I'll have to find it and read some of it.
I've got a couple articles on him. I can just start reading one of them, see where it goes. But
it just makes the grab her by the pussy thing seem kind of mild
no shit.
at this point.
Yeah. So this comes from CNN.com. I wanted to get CNN's take on it because, if you're talking about the Dems and you want it, I want to see how much they spin the terrible things he's done when they're talking about it. This is headline is Bloomberg's racist remark reveals much. New York City has seen a jarring last-minute twist in the race for mayor, in which the current mayor... Shit, this is old. That's 2013. Goodbye.
Yeah, we should do a date check on our articles before we...
It couldn't hurt.
Those.
Okay, this is December of 2019, so it's at least relevant. This comes from motherjones.com, which I have no idea what that even is, but I'm sure they're legit. The headline is Michael Bloomberg has a toxic legacy on lead. Let me screen share, actually. I keep forgetting that we can do that. Cha-cha-cha. Share. Can you see me?
Yep.
All right. Here's the beautiful man himself. This piece was originally published in HuffPost and appears here as part of our Climate Desk partnership when Cordell Clary went to meet the mayor of New York City for the first time in winter 2003. She expected to be disappointed. The Harlem mother... Does this have anything of interest? Or am I going to waste my time? It was mind-blowing to me. Okay, pull up something else, because this is all old news, too.
All right, hang on, I'm looking.
It's a gulf that could dog Bloomberg as he makes a bid for... yada yada. He is all about, or he has voted for stop and frisk and all that, which is racist. There's one quote that I heard Brian McWilliams point out from him, which is the best one, where he said something about sending black people into fires to save people. So
what?
Yeah. Let's see if I can find that.
Oh, I love this man so much. He's their best bet too. He's what their basket their eggs are in. There you go.
Right.
All right.
Okay,
I've
I've got hold on. This is current is Michael Bloomberg's most racist quotes from News1, not Newzone.com, so you know it's legit. Let's see. Get your ads out of my face. Stop and frisk. 95% of murderers and murder victims fit one MO. You can just take a description, Xerox it, and pass it out to all the cops, Bloomberg said while speaking. The Aspen Institute in 2015, a recently resurfaced minute-long clip that went viral in defense of stop and frisk. They are male minorities, 16 to 25. That's true in New York. That's true in virtually every city. And that's where the real crime is. You've got to get the guns out of the hands of people that are getting killed. So he's not necessarily wrong, but that's not a good look for your PC party that you're running for.
No, I think I mentioned last month or the month before, that he had said, in light of some of that stop and frisk thing, he was just like, yeah, that was kind of racist, but I saved a lot of black people by doing that, is basically his defense for it. He's like, since they knew they had the risk of being frisked, less of them carried guns on them. And that was his defense for being his blatantly racist policies.
I'm sure less of them did, but that doesn't, you can't be a racist dictator, even if it's for the better of humanity. I would rather have bad people having guns than good people being, arrested or stopped and frisked, innocent people being criminalized or victimized just based on their skin color because you're a dick. So Bloomberg also recently told Gayle King during an interview on Good Morning America that nobody seemed interested in talking about stop and frisk until he declared his candidacy, an assertion that is just plain incorrect. When King told him, quote, "Some people are suspicious of the timing of your apology," Bloomberg inexplicably disagreed. Quote, well, nobody asked me about it until I started running. We just said that, yeah. Then there's a clip. Let's see. When a federal court ruled in 2013 that stop and frisk was unconstitutional, Bloomberg slammed the judge and did not take the decision very well. He called the ruling, quote, a disturbing disregard for the good intentions of our police officers. We have saved, quote, countless lives of black and Hispanic young men. How can you prove how many lives you've saved with stop and frisk? How do you know that?
You can't. You just, I mean, maybe take the numbers of people like gun assaults before and after
down.
and just assume. But yeah, I mean, he's going to defend this till the day he dies. He's going to, his apology was like, it was like a half-assed apology.
Yeah.
From what I remember, it was just like, yeah, that I kind of feel bad that was kind of racist, but look at all the lives I saved.
Right. The same year, Bloomberg said on his weekly radio show that not enough black and brown folks were stopped and frisked. Quote,
oh my.
I think we disproportionately stop whites too much and minorities too little, he said at the time.
How is this guy, like, if this was a Republican at all, this guy would have been like crucified by now.
Absolutely.
Yes, they are kind of giving it to him a little, but not nearly as hard. If Donald Trump were to have said one of these sentences, he would have been
half of these things.
Yes, he would have been done. And because he's a Democrat, they're like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that, Mr. Bloomberg.
Yes. I want to find that fire.
That's about it.
Okay, less than a month after he launched his presidential campaign, Bloomberg was called out for labeling fellow Democratic candidate Cory Booker as, quote, well-spoken, which is a common dog whistle of racist trope. Did I lose you? Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Did you catch all that?
You cut out for a second. I didn't quite hear that.
He said that Cory Booker was, quote, well-spoken, which is a common dog whistle of a racist trope. I hate the frickin' phrase dog whistle because the only people who use it are the ones who are the only ones who can hear this dog whistle, which means that you're the racist. Like all the Democrats saying, Trump's
I heard that dog whistle.
Right. So you're the dog. Okay. Quote, Cory Booker endorsed me a number of times, and I endorse Cory Booker a number of times. He's very well spoken. That's nothing, in my opinion.
No. Like saying, hey, I endorsed a guy doesn't mean you support everything they do.
Right. And they're saying that it's very unlikely that Bloomberg would have said that about any of the rival candidates that were white. It's like, maybe. I mean, if they're well spoken, they're well spoken. I don't know. The guy seems to be a racist, though. So maybe he is.
Not only that, he's super sexist, misogynist, apparently. Yeah. Even according to CNN. CNN doesn't even like this guy, but I guess if you get Hillary in the run, is CNN going to jump on board with it? Because this article from CNN.com says allegations of misogynistic and sexist comments loom over Michael Bloomberg's first 2020 debate. And this was released this morning. So this was since Hillary, or the rumor started that Hillary might be his running mate. I don't know how true that is. Do you have is there any credibility to that, or was it just like I think this could happen?
I think it was just him saying that. I mean, no running mate is technically official yet, but I think he's just saying. I think he said something to the effect of, I would like to have Hillary Clinton as my running mate or something like that. So nothing official, but he's poking around it.
So here's what CNN's reporting. I'm not going to read the whole article because there's a shit ton of stuff that I don't care about. But this headline in the headline is titled "A Boys Club." It says CNN examined 2 lawsuits that paint a vivid picture of the billionaire as having allegedly condoned and promoted misogyny and sexism in the workplace. Sakiko Saki Garrison.
Yep.
What? Sakiko Saki Garrison. This is like the most Asian name with the like whitest last name. Was a sales representative at Bloomberg LP. I'm not even sure what Bloomberg LP was. What did he do before he was a mayor? Apparently he had his own company with his own name on it.
Bloomberg Media.
Really? Hang on. Drop something.
Which I know nothing about.
A sales rep.
That's my understanding.
Until she was terminated in May of 95, and she sued Bloomberg in 97. The lengthy complaint detailed the many ways in which Garrison said Bloomberg and other male executives at the company sexually demeaned and harassed female colleagues. Bloomberg spokesman Stu Loser, of course, said that Bloomberg did not make any statements alleged in the Seco Garrison case. Of course, he said that. In the lawsuit, the Bloomberg LP office was described in the suit as a boys' club where career advancement for women depended heavily on their sex appeal. Wearing short skirts was said by these male executives and others to be an advantage for promotion. Really? What kind of place is this? If you want to make it in this industry, you have to wear a short skirt. Seriously.
I mean, it's
women
not
who applied,
that surprising. Was it like a spoken thing, or was it
supposedly according to
Seco
Psycho Garrison?
Psycho Garrison.
I don't know the pronunciation. So she goes on to say, women who applied for sales positions were required to meet criteria of sex appeal. Her complaint said women salespersons who were less attractive or who were married were ridiculed, and new mothers and recently married women lost lucrative portions of their sales territory, were denied business opportunities, had their pay cut, and received inferior bonuses as compared to male counterparts. According to her complaint, Bloomberg so frequently said the words, "I'd fuck that in a second," in reference to women, that it was shortened to "in a second." So
wow.
he had to cut it out. He just would have the code words "in a second." Or Bloomberg also uttered comments like, "That's a great piece of ass," in the presence of colleagues, she said. Garrison laid out multiple allegations of Bloomberg directly targeting her. In 93, Bloomberg purportedly said to Garrison, "You still dating that boyfriend? You're giving him good blowjobs?" And when Garrison got engaged around that time, Bloomberg saw her ring and allegedly said, "What, is the guy dumb and blind? What the hell is he marrying you for?"
Wow.
It gets better. This is the article I read before, so, or at least the comments I read before. When Garrison eventually informed Bloomberg that she was pregnant in 95, she alleged that he responded, "Kill it." Plaintiff asked Bloomberg to repeat himself, and again he said, "Kill it," and muttered.
Oh, yeah, I heard that too.
And muttered, "Great, number 16, suggesting to the plaintiff his unhappiness that 16 women in the company had maternity-related status. The complaint said, then he walked away.
He seems like a really good socialist who will push for things like, maternity leave and such.
Mm-hmm. The lawsuit was ultimately settled on undisclosed terms, so it was settled out of court. In his testimony in the case, Mike said, "I never said those words, and there would be no reason to do so. It's ridiculous and an outrage." Mike openly,
however, if you're planning on working for me, maybe don't get pregnant.
Right. Loser said, his spokesperson said, "Mike openly admits that his words have not always aligned with his values." No, your values don't. Your stated, proposed values don't align with who you are as a person. It's more like
his words don't align with his values. Well, then stop talking, you idiot.
And the way he has led his life, and some of what he has said is disrespectful and wrong. That's your values. The way you lead your life is your values. What you say in your candidacy or put on your little piece of paper of what you stand for, that's not your values. The way he led his life and some of what he said is disrespectful and wrong. That's your values. What you live by is your values. So you are a piece of shit human who says that your values are something different. It's not that your words don't reflect your values. It's that your values don't reflect what you say they are.
Right. Unless you're Joe Biden, he might just be lost. I don't even think he knows where he is half the time or what he's saying. So his words might not reflect his values. But
I've heard he's having some memory issues and stuff.
I would not be at all surprised. Anyway, is that it for Bloomberg? Can we move on from this douche?
There's more stuff on this I'm sure I could get into, but it would probably take a while. It goes on. Other people go on and allege stuff, but we get the gist. He's kind of a shitty human that thinks he. Oh, wait. One such commonly used nickname that Bloomberg and his colleagues used, according to an ex-employee, was SFU, abbreviation for short, fat, and ugly.
Wow.
Oh, he's made comments like, I didn't get her pregnant, but I could have.
Good Lord.
And I could have got her anytime. Good Lord.
Sounds similar to, the terrible, terrible one thing that we've got Donald Trump saying.
Right. So, like I said, the one thing that Trump said that everybody glommed on for the entire year leading up to the election. Yes, that was a horrible thing to say.
They're still saying it. They're still using it.
Yes.
As he's a terrible, terrible person and basically a rapist because he said that.
But I'm not going to be the person that's like, nobody's talking about Michael Bloomberg when he says it, because clearly people are talking. I hate that when people are like, nobody's talking about this. It's like, where did you read it? Because clearly you got this information from somewhere.
Exactly.
So
not only that, but you're talking about it. So, that it starts with you. Talk about it if you want somebody to talk about it. Isn't that the point? But anyway, it is annoying when things like that aren't covered by like mainstream media, and they'll focus entirely on the very minutia issues of Donald Trump. Not even the real bad things of Donald Trump, like foreign affairs and such, but just the stupid things, and then they will, give Bloomberg a pass. But we've got some good stuff. Let's keep it on politics. This comes from breakthematrix.com, so you know it's legit. Amy Klobuchar says English should no longer be the official language of the U.S. And if you're not familiar, she is the Democratic runner, of course, who looks like, I don't know, every teacher I hated in high school. Are you there? Did I lose you?
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, she's the one that looks like
saying that, like,
because it keeps showing me that the internet connection is unstable.
Oh.
Yeah, she's really annoying. A lot of people that I know have said, "Oh, she's the most reasonable," and I'm like, "Yes, but she's still bad. Like the most reasonable over there is still really bad."
Right.
Senator Amy Klobuchar, or as I call her, Amy Klondike Bar, who received heaps of praise after her last Democratic primary debate performance, which skyrocketed her to a third-place finish in New Hampshire primary, made a rather bold and controversial statement on Thursday night, saying English should no longer be the primary language of the United States. Any guesses on what she's going to say? I don't know. I'm just curious if you have any guesses on what the official language should be.
I would assume Spanish of all the languages, the other languages, because it'd be probably the second most spoken language.
I just wanted to say Chinese because they're going to take over our entire economy soon.
Germanian Dutch.
Interestingly, her new stance is in complete contrast to a bill she voted for in 2007 called the English Language Amendment, which undid a Clinton-era executive order that required government papers to be offered in a variety of languages other than English. I didn't even know that was a thing. The 2020 candidate attempted to defend her reversal and argue why English should no longer be the primary language in the United States. Quote, excuse me. I think that when
Is that the quote?
Yes. I think that when you look at a state like this state and a country like ours that is so diverse, you don't want to have the provision in law because then it would be very difficult. Where are you going? Okay.
Keep talking.
Then it would be very difficult to have, say, government documents and other things translated into other languages, Klobuchar said Friday, according to the AP. So, continued quote, so that is not a position I take. I did vote that way, but way back then, along with many other people. Klobuchar's timing of her new stance on the English language is convenient, as she made the statement during a campaign stop in Las Vegas, Nevada, which will hold its caucus on Saturday, February 22nd, It's also home to a large demographic of Latino voters. I don't understand. So what changes? Do we just say, hey, everybody speaks Spanish now? Or is she saying is it just about documents being translated, or what?
Does she, if the official language was going to be switched to Spanish, does she have any inclination, any idea how much money that would cost?
Right.
On a global or not a nationwide level, not just national level, state level, your city level, your county, whoever funds the schools,
signs, all the schools, all the papers.
Usually it's usually like city and state government that funds the schools. And I don't know if you know, the Illinois state government doesn't have that much money.
Right.
I'm not even in Illinois, but I know that. But you're going to have to change all the textbooks out, replace them all. And then you're going to have a vast majority of people that speak English that are going to have to completely learn. You're going to have to change every single class.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that can't possibly be what she's saying, because that's almost as absurd as the Green New Deal, tearing down all the buildings and rebuilding them eco-friendly. However,
hey, that's a good deal.
I don't know. It's unclear, and I'm not very familiar with even how that type of thing works. Or are we really voting on amendments to change a language, or can we just keep talking? I don't know. I don't know how it works, but if she's saying, hey, maybe we should, for government documents, make it so it's like a little bit more diverse for the sake of some people. I don't know how you get to be a politician when you can't speak the primary language, though. Like if you are unable to read English, how did you win? I find that hard to believe.
Can she not read English?
Oh, she's very, very white. I'm sure she can read English.
So what's her problem?
She's pandering. That's her problem. And you brought up the Illinois government. Speaking of the Illinois government and all of its garbage.
Yes.
Would you like to take
where this is going?
Would you like to take it?
Does this have anything to do with Donald Trump and his pardoning thing that he's got? His pardoning tour? The tour
commuting.
of pardoning?
He's not pardoning him. He's just giving him a lesser
What I read
sentence.
I read pardoning. I read he was pardoned.
You talking about Rob Blajovich?
Mr. Blajovich, the man, the mystery, the reality TV star. He was on a reality show before he went to prison. There you go. That's why. I didn't realize he was on The Apprentice. They're buddies.
He's also a real life cartoon character of some sort. The dude looks like a whack job still.
So, the guy's been
the only politician with worse hair than Trump.
What the hell? God damn it. What? Every time I click on an article, it starts talking to me.
Is it foxnews.com?
Yes.
I listened to most of that one earlier.
That wasn't that was another one I clicked on accidentally. This is the New York Times. I don't have the exact one of where he was pardoned, but I do have how Rob Blajovich and all his fame basically gets out of prison and doesn't shut the fuck up when he gets out of prison in true Rob Blajovich fashion.
Right.
This is from, what did I say? The New York Times. So you know it's legit. Rob Blajovich. We're gonna just butcher his name because it's fun.
Bob Blajovich.
Blajovich comes to Chicago defiant, bloody, and ready to talk.
He's bloody?
That's in a single quote. So that must be, it's probably in his words. Mr. Blajovich, the former Democratic governor of Illinois, spoke of having his sentence for corruption commuted. So yeah, this says commuted, but I definitely read one that said he was pardoned, I thought, by Donald Trump, and described himself as a freed political prisoner. You broke the law, motherfucker. You're not a political prisoner. Rod R. Blajovich, the former governor of Illinois, emerged from his brick bungalow in Chicago's north side into shivering cold air on Wednesday. I love all the
Settle the hell
adjectives.
down, people. Come on,
All
just
the
tell us what
adjectives.
happened.
On Wednesday, coatless, tieless, and remorseless.
My God. We get it. You
Fucking New
wanted
York
to be an
Times.
author. It didn't work out.
Mr. Blajovich, who had been in a Colorado prison until a day earlier, denounced a broken justice system, spoke of his exile behind bars. That's typically what imprisonment is.
Yep.
Thanked President Trump for commuting his sentence and insisted that he has done nothing illegal. It's been a long, long journey. I'm bruised, I'm battered, and I'm bloody, Mr.
And my butt hurts.
Blajovich said, dabbing his chin with a handkerchief. He explained that he was still... Does this not sound like a really cheesy novel?
Yes.
As he
And
dabbed
he looks like the
dabbing-
character in a romance novel, too. Like the B character.
Dabbing his chin with a kerchief, he explained that he was still getting used to using a regular razor, unavailable in prison, and had nicked himself while shaving. Why is this a story?
Who cares? That's the bloodied that they're referring to?
Probably.
He cut himself shaving in prison. Wow. He's a hero.
In a surprise move, Mr. Blajovich, I have nothing else to call him. 63 was Blajovich was released from prison on Tuesday after Mr. Trump commuted his 14-year criminal sentence for corruption after 8 years. Mr. Blajovich, then Democratic governor, was arrested in 2008 when prosecutors said he had schemed to sell a Senate seat being vacated by Barack Obama, who had newly been elected president. Mr. Blajovich was swiftly impeached, unanimously removed from office, convicted, and cast out by his own party. Ooh. It sounds like they're like pity partying him.
Right.
It really...
I do have the
does.
Fox News, which might be interesting
Wednesday-
since they're Trump guys and he's a Democrat.
Right. On Wednesday, there was a sense that Mr. Blajovich...
Baba Ganoush?
Blago to an Illinoisans. Do you call it? Have you ever heard anybody call him Blago in Illinois?
Not at all. And I live here.
Get this. He's
Or
picking
worse,
up
or
where he
worse.
left off. He's picking up.
He's going back to his crimes.
Right. In 2012, he departed for federal prison from precisely this spot, his family home, surrounded by a frenzy of television cameras. The spectacle returned on Wednesday as a helicopter buzzed overhead. News reporters bundled in parkas to chronicle his
gosh.
return. This is such a freaking
There's like one paragraph here of news.
descriptive, drawing stares from neighbors and dog walkers in what is usually a quiet
Important
neighborhood.
details.
Someone waved a cutout photo of Mr. Blagojevich's smiling face attached to a broomstick high in the air.
Why?
True to form, Mr. Blago emerged from his house. I'm going to start calling him Blago now because I'm from Illinois.
Call him Baba Ganoush.
Bobby Noosh emerged from his house, then promised, "We're back." True to form, he emerged from his house later, then promised. Okay, this is hard
You
to
got
read.
this.
It's true to form, he emerged later than promised because apparently he's always late. Reporter said, "We're back on Blago time," one reporter said. His dark
Wow, that
brown
sounds
hair...
Almost racist.
His dark brown hair turned silvery in prison. He spoke expansively for close to 20 minutes without notes and with his wife Patty at his side. He quoted from the Bible and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He recited
Same thing.
poetry. He denounced racism. He dropped a few Spanish words. He described himself as a freed political prisoner and said he hoped to turn an injustice into a justice. And he spoke of his 8 years in prison, the solitary nights behind the iron door that can shut you
of
in.
his ass.
The iron
next to the glistening toilet bowl.
This is his quotes of his solitary nights behind, quote, the iron door that can shut you in, a small window with bars on it, and a bunk bed. It's prison, motherfucker.
We got it.
I slept on the top bunk, Mr. Blajovich recalled. Often late at night, I would look through that window and past those bars out into the night sky, and I think of home. I think of my children.
Hold on. Did Blajovich write the article in its entirety?
No,
because he's just as dramatic as they are.
This is specifically his quote. Yes,
that's what I'm saying. He's just as dramatic, so it sounds like he wrote the entire thing.
It does. I gotta start that over. Often late at night, I would look through that window. I'm going to look through my window while I say this.
We need some sultry music.
Past the bars, out into the night sky, and I think of home. I think of my children. I think of Patty. Sometimes I could almost feel her near me. Oh, somebody says, Trump, 4 more years.
What?
Just ignore him, Mr. Blajovich murmured under her teeth.
Her?
I would say to myself, one day, I'll make it back to you and hold your hand, sweetheart.
Stop. Just stop. I can't take it anymore.
I got to. And I'll remember what a gracious thing it's been to walk through life with you. Thank you for waiting.
I'm so glad we went with your article.
She said, you're bleeding, and obligingly dabbed his chin again. Apparently, he's still bleeding from nicking himself shaving.
It was a good nick. He's
this
like,
is such a story.
I always dreamed of one day breaking free and making it back to you, my love. Hey, you got some shit on your
bleeding.
face.
You're bleeding all over yourself, asshole. Miss Blajovich has been one of her husband's most vocal defenders, making appearances on Fox News where she pleaded for mercy and appealed to Mr. Trump to commute Mr. Blajovich sentence.
Now, do you know what the crime was that he committed? I don't even really know. We were young when it happened.
He basically sold Obama's seat.
That's right. Yeah.
Which isn't possible, really, because Obama wasn't a state senator. He was a senator of the state of Illinois.
Yeah.
But somehow he sold something of Obama when Obama took office. I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
For as dumb as this article is, it's like, yeah, maybe it was a bit much to give him like a 16-year sentence, but that's not. I mean, that's a pretty bad thing to do. But it's like,
do you know why?
I can understand the wife being like happy to see him and everything, but this is the cheesiest article I've ever heard.
What was Trump's reasoning for commuting him? Did you read it?
It was because he was a nice guy, basically, and he thought that the sentence was ridiculous.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But do you feel like maybe this is a lead up to like a phoenix rising from the ashes story, and maybe we're not going to hear the last of Mr. Blajovich?
Oh, I don't know. I bet he'll probably go away. He's really nothing worth talking about.
Maybe he'll run for president. Maybe he'll be on the ticket for president coming up soon.
It's not like he was a notable senator to begin with. Governor, that's what it was. Yeah. It's not like anybody really cared about him to begin with.
He closed down all the Illinois state parks because Illinois sucked with money and stuff. And he was just like an overall shitty governor from what I remember.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I do want to talk about the new, I might save it for either the after party or AntiNews hot take, because I have a lot to say about it and we don't have time to talk about it.
I have more pardoning stories like in truth with that, or like in line with that. Okay. You might be more interested in this one. Well, he did like pardon some like 49ers coach for doing something. I don't even know what that was.
I know I don't
follow football.
My guess is he's well on the way to getting to Roger Stone to pardon him.
But this one is CNN.com, legitimately CNN.com. This will interest you more than even your great Illinois state former ex-con governor. A lawyer for WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, says he was offered a U.S. pardon in exchange for denying Russian hacking by the Trump campaign.
I don't know anything about this, but I do know that I saw a Tim Pool video earlier that said that this is completely false and made up. But
this is CNN, though.
Oh, well,
no,
my mistake.
I'm not saying it's not false, but it's at least credible enough that CNN jumped on it.
Yeah, but if CNN says it, it's probably even less credible than it would have been if you had heard a hobo say it on the street corner. But go ahead.
But it wouldn't surprise me. The CNN saying this, it's London CNN, so it's even better.
Oh, right.
It says, so basically what CNN's trying to push is that Trump's trying to get Julian Assange to say, because Julian Assange knows everything, obviously, because he's WikiLeaks. And you think, like, it's never been reported that Julian Assange is like a Republican or anything like that, has it? Or like a Trump supporter or anything. No. Like, yes, he won against Hillary, but if Julian Assange has something
he leaks
damning,
more against the DNC, but that I don't know if that's because he supports the right more or if he just
has more to leak
right
on the DNC.
I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that he could put out on both sides, so maybe he does lean a little bit more right, but I have no idea.
But if there was damning evidence of Russian collusion, I would think he would have already leaked it by now. But it says a lawyer for WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has said that a former congressman offered him a pardon. How does a congressman offer a pardon? On behalf of U.S. President Trump, in exchange for denying Russian involvement in the Democratic National Committee email leak. So in exchange for him denying, so that's weird.
He will pardon Julian Assange if Julian Assange says.
Well, it says in exchange for denying Russian involvement in the DNC committee email leak. So is it him denying that he had involvement with the leak, with the DNC leak, or that Trump had any involvement with? And anyway, I'll keep going. The White House and the congressmen have strongly denied Trump's involvement in the matter. Lawyer Edward Fitzgerald told court on Wednesday that a witness statement application claimed that then California Representative Dana Rohrabacher went to visit Assange at the Ecuadorian embassy in London on instruction of the president. According to the statement described by Fitzgerald, Rohrabacher's mission was to offer Assange a U.S. pardon if he would play ball by saying the Russians had nothing to do with the leak, an assertion Assange has previously made. So he's already made the assertion that the Russians didn't have any involvement in it. Comments were made at Westminster Magistrates Court in London during a case management hearing on the U.S. request to have Assange extradited on charges under the Espionage Act. Judge Vanessa Baratzer said the application presented by Fitzgerald was admissible, but in a statement released Wednesday, Rohrabacher said he had never spoke to Trump about Assange and that the visit was my own fact-finding mission. So he's basically trying to lead Assange on. Mm-hmm. When speaking with Assange, I told him if he could provide me information and evidence about who actually gave him the DNC emails, I would then call on President Trump to pardon him. He said, at no time did I offer a deal made by the president, nor did I say I was representing the president. So basically, he went to Assange and said, hey, can you tell me this wasn't a Russian thing? And if you can, I'll reach out to the president, try to get you pardoned.
Right. So it has nothing to do with Trump, even if this did in fact happen, which is suspect.
Yes. Right, but the way CNN's going to go is they're going to swing it toward, of course, Trump's trying to cover this up. Yep.
Impeachment Part 3. Yeah, they're already pushing for the second one. So if and when Trump wins in a landslide in 2020, which is now, it's not going to stop. It's going to get worse. He'll probably be the first president impeached 3 times in his presidency over absolutely nothing.
That's saying very little too. That's underestimating.
Probably.
We're looking at like we should go like 1 a year. He should get like 8, 1 for every year that he's in office, or 12 if he decides to like repeal the amendment where he can only run twice.
Yeah. So I want to move on because I've got some fun ones that I definitely want to talk about, and we're pushing an hour already. So, are you good on yours? Is that all you had? No.
Oh yeah. That's fine. That's cool.
Okay.
That's cool.
Well, then I want to share this, and I'm going to have to screen share it because it's a good one. This comes from The Blaze, theblaze.com, so you know it's legit. Dem U.S. Senate candidate unveils campaign logo, the guillotine, as a symbol of the work we have to do. Do you see this screen share?
Yeah.
Do you see this logo?
What the fuck?
The crazy leftists have gone off the literal deep end. And last month we talked about Bernie Sanders supporters going on about how they want to, hold on, my wife's calling. I'm going to have to text her. How they want to, put Trump supporters into
Gulags.
Gulags.
Goulash.
And stuff. But now we're here, and here's this. And this might be the last story because my wife's trying to get a hold of me. But the donkey has long been the symbol of the Democratic Party since President Andrew Jackson embraced his detractors, labeling him, quote, a jackass in 1828. I did not know that, but that's fun.
Is this real news or is this...
This is Blaze, yeah. It's real.
So this isn't like theonion.com?
It is not. The Blaze is like what's his face? Steven Crowder and that one guy whose name I can never remember. I don't know. It's conservative news. But a Democratic Senate candidate in Maine may have a rebrand in mind. Bree Kidman unveiled a new campaign logo last week. A guillotine. Is it guillotine or guillotine?
Guillotine.
I've always heard guillotine, but
I've heard both.
Yeah, I've heard people saying guillotine lately, and I hate it.
I think that's just stupidity, but I've always said guillotine just because I am reformed like that.
If it is guillotine, it has a lot of unnecessary letters in it. There's 2 L's, and both of them are silent.
Guillotine. We'll call it a guillotine.
Guillotine, yes.
Guillotine.
A guillotine, the execution apparatus commonly associated with the French Revolution that was used for the beheadings of King Louis the XVI. Don't know what that is. Don't care. And his wife, Queen Marie Antoinette. But fear not, Kidman, who hopes to challenge Republican Senate Susan Collins in November, says using an image of the deadly device in campaign materials is not meant to be taken literally. Okay. Quote, we're not going to start a guillotine in Monument Square in Portland, and we are not going to start a guillotine in Monument Square in Portland and start beheading people.
If you have to specify that, there's a problem. If you have to let me make this clear to you. We're not going to cut off people's head. There's an issue.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Bernie guys who were talking about it. They're like, yeah, I'm not saying that we would have to kill private landowners because that's bad for the soul. It's like if you ever find yourself feeling morally sound by saying something like, we're not going to start killing people, that you're a bad person.
Yeah, you're doing something wrong if your justification is, well, we're not actually cutting people's heads off.
Kidman clarified to the Portland Press Herald, quote, it's a symbol of the work we have to do to overcome flaws in our system, flaws that have become deeply evident in the last few weeks. So it's a symbol of the work that you have to do to fix the problems in the system. It's something that cuts people's heads off. What are you symbolizing? What's the work that you have to do?
They're probably taking a stance on the other side of we got to drain the swamp. We got to drain this. They're probably like, oh, we got to cut the head off this big one-eyed purple monster.
We have to murder the swamp drainers.
If somebody ever comes out, a politician ever comes out and calls the other side a one-eyed purple monster, I'm going to shit myself. I want to hear one politician say that. Like, dude, we got to cut the heads off the one-eyed purple monster.
Have you heard?
Dude, seriously, did you just compare him to a giant dick?
Have you heard about, not to switch gears, but have you heard the Joe Biden lion, dog, face, pony soldier thing?
Yes, I watched that video. He's such an idiot.
He's out of his fucking mind, and I love it.
I don't know how he's even there.
It'll never happen, but I so badly want him to be the person that has to go up against Donald Trump, because that would be hilarious.
People have talk about all the stupid shit that Donald Trump says. Can you imagine a Donald Trump / Joe Biden debate? And Donald Trump said it best when he was talking about how Joe Biden loses his shit against the dog face pony, whatever. He's like, that's one person like in an audience and you lost your shit to that. He's like, wait till he gets up like debating for 10 weeks straight against me or something like that.
Or
like,
if he gets elected and he has to face all the media scrutiny, like everybody judging his every move. Anyway, this is a tweet from...
He'll lose his mind.
This is a tweet from the lady Bree Kidman for Maine. BK for me, for Emmy, is her Twitter handle. I was going to wait till tomorrow to show off these beauties, but Trump got acquitted, and I feel like folks could use something to look forward to. So get ready for merch you can't buy. You shouldn't buy elections, so you can't buy our locally silk-screened, upcycled merch. She's calling them beauties. It's a guillotine, and saying since Trump got acquitted, this is going to give people something to look forward to. How does that come across?
Can we steal this design and somehow make like shirts?
I'm sure that.
Can we do that? Can we do that?
Very possible. Yes.
I'm asking. Will you do that, please?
Yeah. What do we put there instead?
I don't know. We got to come up with some cool slogan.
All right. We'll think about it.
Cut off heads, not cut off heads, not. I don't know.
Don't cut taxes. Cut heads. Anti-Trump.
Yes. Perfect.
Hashtag never Trump.
We could say cut taxes, not heads. We could have one for each side. One that says cut heads, not taxes. One that says cut taxes, not heads. So depending on which side of the spectrum we're on, you could buy either or.
I like it. And I might do that. If you're listening to this in the future, go on over to tsidpod.com/store, and it's probably there right now. Reign of Terror. The self-described democratic socialist, of course, who identifies as non-binary, of course, added that printing the French Reign of Terror execution device on campaign T-shirts.
So many frustrating things in that sentence.
It's not over yet. Is meant to symbolize ongoing class struggles that may inevitably lead to a violent overthrow of the federal government. However, this person is probably anti-gun, right? Like, typically democratic socialist, anti-gun.
One would think.
But they think that guillotines are going to be the way to overthrow a violent federal government.
Legalize guillotines, not guns. Legalize.
A guillotine T-shirt. This is a quote. A guillotine T-shirt reminds others about it in hopes that we will all be motivated to address the very serious problems with our government before a similarly violent uprising becomes inevitable, said Kidman, who recently endorsed Senator Bernie Sanders. Of course she did, for president. So, we've got Socialist Democrat, which means communist, who is, what was the other thing? Oh, non-binary. Of course she is. Supporting Bernie Sanders. Of course she is. Just check all the boxes. So, you are 2020 in a human.
So I am like, I mean, this is kind of off subject, but kind of on subject. I'm like completely ignorant when it comes to what the difference is between socialism and communism is, because it all sounds pretty close to the same to me. And I rode 12 and a half hours to Colorado with Dad, who's a super, super Republican, and listened to Sean Hannity on the way up there, which I haven't listened to in years, and it was kind of brutal. and they kept talking about socialism and blah blah blah. And I was like, "What's the difference between socialism and communism?" And he's like, "I don't know." So I Googled it because that's what I do. And the most
This segment sponsored
specific,
brought to you by DuckDuckGo, a better search engine. DuckDuckGo.
I actually
Tired of Google spying on your every move. DuckDuck. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, the closest thing I could get to an answer was basically communism, violently is violent change. Like you have to have like a revolution for change. And socialism, it just kind of occurs like over like it's politically and socially occurs.
Socialism
so it's basically
is the
same
drug.
thing, but communists kill the people that they disagree with, and socialists are like, no, guys, we should do this. It's kind of like hippie communists is what it is.
It's the gateway drug to communism. It's like,
yes,
hey, we're doing this because we love everybody, and that's how we get you in the door. And then once you're there, we take away all your stuff, and we give you
we just
bread
brainwash
lines.
you until you go there instead of kill you. It was just made me laugh inside because it's like all the time you hear it's socialism, not communism. There's a big difference. And the big difference is, hey, we're not going to fucking kill you yet. That's the biggest difference.
Yep. Let me see.
But I did have to go to, when I was looking up that topic that I kept telling you we needed to look into that doesn't get talked to about much, the J word.
Sorry, I was reading ahead. What'd you say?
I said to what you said before about Google, that J word that I kept looking up that I said we needed to look into a little more.
No.
The J word. Do you know the J word?
Jesus.
Close, yeah, pretty much. The Jews. The only thing I could find on anything was on DuckDuckGo. If you looked on Google, you couldn't find jack shit.
Yeah.
If you look up, and I'm not going to say that I am one of these, but if you just Google Holocaust denial stuff, nothing comes up besides like, this guy's a fucking Holocaust denial. But if you go to DuckDuckGo, you can actually find legitimate information. But that's for another day because
this is not us saying anything other than you should be able to look into the ways that people think and come to different conclusions. And we are just like, hey, I want to look into this thing and see why certain people think this thing. And you can't. Because it's hard.
I can't remember what got me started on that. I think I was listening to a podcast and somebody had brought it up, like some story, and I Googled that story and they're like, look into such and such story. And I looked into that story. This is so far off topic. We get so derailed.
We probably shouldn't go there.
Looked on this story and I was like, I can't find anything on Google, even on this story. And then I downloaded DuckDuckGo on my phone and a whole bunch of shit popped up. So definitely go to DuckDuckGo. I hate Google, even though I use them for everything.
Yeah, it's the convenient evil that will be the downfall of all of us.
I still think we should propose a Google ban for like a month and then just try to find everything. And the shitty part
email
is even
the hardest thing for me because I have so many email accounts.
Yeah, me too. Email is all Gmail for me.
And YouTube.
But that's the thing. Like even if you look something up on DuckDuckGo, if you look up a documentary, it still is YouTube. So it still could be blocked or whatever. A lot of the videos were blocked because it's YouTube, because everybody posts shit to YouTube. There needs to be a DuckDuckGo specific video source.
Oh, they're calling them guillotines or guillotines. That's cute.
Ooh, we need one.
More details on how to get your guillotines tomorrow. In the meantime, remember, there is not going to be a more convenient revolution, Kidman added. What does that mean?
If ever. I mean, you remember the freaking Left Behind. What were those? It wasn't Left Behind. It was like the 80s version of the Left Behind movies. The Thief in the Night movies. Where everybody thought that the people who didn't get the mark of the beast were going to get their heads cut off with guillotines, whatever you call them. If ever that wasn't more true now, this is just like
Are you put? Yeah,
Republicans have to be looking at this and they're like,
Exactly.
that's the mark of the beast.
right. So I was gonna say, like, if you're pushing for people to dig their heels in even further into their conservatism, like saying that if you get elected, you're gonna chop people's heads off with a guillotine, like, give me a break.
What a quicker way to start a revolution.
It's
That's
convenient.
probably a poor choice of words.
Yes. Quote, the guillotine is for the plutocratic and kleptocratic norms that have undermined our democratic process. Yes, because
Hang
you're
on,
really
I gotta
concerned
look up
about
these
that.
words. I gotta look up these words. Was it plutocratic?
Plutocratic and kleptocratic. We have to develop ways to subvert the stranglehold of wealth on our government, Kidman said. And then she went and voted for Bloomberg. Bernie Bros, guillotines, and gulags. As the blazes, Aaron Coleman reported last month, Kidman's use of the guillotine as a campaign symbol is not the first time that Democratic socialists invoke violent imagery. In an undercover video taken by Project Veritas, a campaign staffer named Kyle Jurek argued that if Sanders were to win in November, Trump voters, blah, blah, blah. We know all this stuff. The Gulag stuff, the stuff, quote, in Nazi Germany, after the fall of the Nazi Party, there was a shit ton of people.
That's what it says? It says shit ton of people?
Yeah, this is a quote from one of the Bernie dudes.
I mean, that's my favorite, saying is a shit ton. That's my favorite
A metric
adjective.
shit ton or just a regular shit ton?
Just a regular shit ton. Metric shit ton if it's, really excessive. But
I don't go
that's
with
my
metric. I'm
favorite
not a
adjective.
communist. There was a shit ton of people.
Standard shit ton.
There's a shit ton of the populace that was fucking Nazi-fied. Germany had to spend billions of dollars to re-educate their people to not be Nazis. We're probably going to have to do the same effing thing here, Jurek said. So, yeah, they're just pointing out how Bernie supporters, oh boy, if it comes down to Trump and Bernie, which it very well could, it's there are so many things. Just imagine the campaign ads for Donald Trump. Everybody's got all this quote-unquote dirt on Donald Trump. And as always, I'm not a Donald Trump supporter. But imagine the campaign ads. You come on with some creepy music. Then you have any of 100,000 quotes from these Bernie Sanders crazy whack people saying we're going to put people in gulags. We need to retrain them like Nazis, guillotines, and, even Antifa people. There was another story of a guy who rode his bike to some sort of rally or protest or something, and he punched a 15-year-old kid in the face for wearing a MAGA hat, which has not been, to my knowledge, too widely spread or talked about on CNN or MSNBC. But the dude, of course, guess which political candidate sticker he had on his bicycle?
On his bicycle? Obviously,
bicycle.
Bernie on a bicycle.
Exactly. The Green New Deal of punching children in the face.
I really, honestly, I want to see a Bernie Trump showdown. I mean,
right. No matter how much you hate Donald Trump, anybody, any Republican, anybody even slightly conservative, they're going to vote for Trump over Bernie Sanders any day.
I think even a lot of moderate Democrats would vote for Trump over Sanders.
Right.
Anybody who likes any sort of freedom of money in general is going to vote for Trump.
And it's not even because of Bernie Sanders. It's because of the people who support Bernie Sanders that make it seem like there's some stuff that Bernie's not telling us that's going on behind the scenes. Why are all these crazy, violent nut jobs Bernie supporters and Bernie campaign, volunteers and everything? And why isn't Bernie coming out and saying, condemning their actions? He hasn't said anything on any of these cases, and they just keep piling up.
Well, you had David Duke supporting Donald Trump in the last election in 2016.
Which made
and he come out and he's
Donald Trump a KKK member.
Yeah, but he came out and he's like, I don't support the KKK at all. But you don't hear Bernie Sanders come out and being like, I don't support the gulags. You don't hear that at all.
Yeah. So that I just thought that was a good one to share. I've got some other fun ones, but we might have to save them for after party. Did you have anything else
some
pressing?
less political. I feel like we got to get less political, like into like real news people want to hear, because nobody wants to hear the political news.
I guess
people would rather hear this news here. This is from.
You've got one article. Make it count.
Yep. I'll make this count. This was actually texted to me as we were like starting shit up. That's when I thought you texted me WTF. It was actually my friend texted me WTF and sent this article. I was like, yep, we're going to talk about that. Yeah. It's from fanbuzz.com. So it's got to be more legit than any of the other shit we've read tonight. A soccer player apparently bites an opponent's penis and gets banned for 5 years.
That's all you get?
This is far more interesting than all this political shit.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
I got to go there.
I love sports now.
I mean, you got to start watching sports now.
Apparently.
If soccer players had a bad rap before... Did soccer players have a bad rap before? I didn't know this, but apparently they did. If
That's
soccer
not
players
my football. Hashtag not my football.
I guess, yeah. It's too European for me. This is bullshit. If soccer players had a bad rap before, then this story will wash away the last shred of credibility among fans who don't follow the global sport. What fans don't follow the global sport? Like, if they're fans, do they not follow it?
Yeah, and is this really going to make people question the validity of soccer as a sport because of one guy who did one thing?
Obviously. I mean, that's how we are. But because my 4 years of high school French have faded away, the only phrase I can remember is, "Can I use a hall pass?" What the fuck? All right.
What's happening?
I don't know. A match in eastern France between an amateur soccer club, Terreville and Sautrich, ended in a 1-1 draw. I'm sure we're all well aware of how fiery and heated second division French soccer can get. No, I'm not. But what transpired on the local league field ultimately spilled into the parking lot when two players started a post-match fight. A Terreville player stepped in to break things up. Apparently, that's a huge no-no in French culture because a Sautrich player decided to bite the peacemaker right on his dick. The injured Terreville player who needed 10 stitches to suture his wound. So he didn't just kind of bite him. He bit the shit off almost. 10 stitches to suture his wounds, was off work for 4 days, and likely required a lifetime of counseling. Says, first things first, how does this happen? Penises aren't hanging out for anyone to nibble on.
Well, some.
They're tucked away in men's trousers and are waist high. Did this Sautrich soccer player dive into the pile head first and just go for it? Was there a slip and fall moment where he faced a dick and realized his moment had come?
What is the website here? Because I love their writing.
Fanbuzz.com.
Okay.
There are more questions. That's why I said it's way more legitimate than CNN.com. There are more questions than answers here, but the very thought of having my dangling friend nearly bitten off gives me the willies. No pun intended. I told you this was a good one for me to end on.
Boy. All right.
You didn't believe me.
Yep, you're
after
right.
an extensive investigation, the penis biter was banned from local competition for 5 years. And to make the story even more absurd, not only did Terreville football deal with the tan banana all bruised and battered, but he also received.
I like that.
He also received a 6-month suspension for his role in the altercation because his dick and bit wasn't bad enough. They needed to suspend him too. Mm-hmm. In addition, the Terreville club was fined €200, which is like what, $3, and docked 2 penalty points in standings for. What does that mean? We're docking you 2 penalty points for failing to meet safety obligations as home team and showing a lack of reaction by club officials after the fight broke out. It's quite rare to have sanctions of several years there are less than 10 per year. The case was a bit saucy. Saucy.
Bit salty.
I love that word. Saucy. The case was a bit saucy, but there must have been some nasty tension. So smiles on this is my Sean Connery. It's not really French. I don't know French. Oui, oui. That's all I know.
Yeah.
There must have been some nasty tension. So smiles on the disciplinary committee quickly faded. Emmanuel Sailing of the Massalan Football District said, "Penis bite." Oh shit! I accidentally clicked a link before I could read the last statement. Hang on, I gotta read the last sentence.
Hang in there, folks. I promise it'll be worth the wait.
Says
They're not going to end
biting.
this on a dull note.
Okay, this is definitely worth the wait. Penis biting. Just another day in the life of global football.
Wow.
Oh, it's great. I had to. I couldn't just leave it with politics and freaking gulags and guillotines.
How is that a fighting strategy? In like, it has nothing to do with soccer. It has nothing to do with global football. Who fights this way?
It's the French. You got to realize. You got to remember the French and everything they're famous for. The French, either A, they don't fight, or B, they don't fight very clean or fair.
You fight gay. I like that about you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good way to wrap this up. It is impressive. Like, you would have to really go for the kill. You had to know what you were setting out to do and have your eyes on the prize the entire time when you went in for that.
The fucked up thing, the fucked up part was it wasn't even the guy he was fighting that got his dick bit. It was the guy that jumped in and was like, "Dudes, break it up." And this guy like dives down and chomps down on his freaking dick.
I'll end this. Here we go.
He's like, "I instantly regret this decision."
Who? Which person?
And somehow this guy that was trying to break up the fight and got his dick almost bit off gets suspended for 6 months. Oh, karma sucks.
It's beautiful. Anyway, that's a good place to wrap it up. We've talked for longer than anybody has probably cared to listen. But if you have listened, and if you are in the System Is Down forum, go let us know that you listened this far by posting just the secret word. Craig, what is it? What's the secret word this time?
Just the tip.
Just the tip. That's not a word. Okay, but it has to be all one run-on word too. Go post in the System Is Down forum just the tip to let us know that you made it this far, and we will give you a gold star for the day. But thank you guys so much for listening.
No spaces, no capital letters, all lowercase. Just
that's right. Otherwise, we won't believe that you listened all the way. But you can join the Systems Down forum by going to tsidpod.com/forum and asking to join. And I will let you in there if you don't look like a Guatemalan prince or something to that effect. If you look like a real...
Why don't we want Guatemalan princes? I feel like we could get a lot of support
Racism.
from Guatemalan princes. Okay, that makes sense. Fuck you, Guatemalan princes. Don't listen to our podcast.
Yes, every single one of you Guatemalan princes. I'm sure that there are plenty. But, anyway, or just go to Facebook and type in the System Is Down forum, ask to join. You can also drop an email to dan@tsidpod.com and let us know what you want to hear on the show, what things you want us to talk about, and thoughts that you may have. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think about everything that we talked about here. Send us articles. Send us all sorts of things. This is an interactive show where you can provide things if you feel like it. If you don't feel like it, then we'll come up with stuff on our own. But also be sure to like, share, and subscribe on all the platforms. And if you like what you hear and you want to hear more and you want to hear our bonus content every single week, go to patreon.com/The System Is Down and sign up for the Downers Club for as little as $5 a month. And you can get a bunch of bonus content and help this show get bigger and better and more beautiful and get more beautiful co-hosts. But that is that. Craig, any final thoughts?
No. No, can you imagine? So our last two stories were guillotine and biting tip of penis. So we put those two stories together.
Going to murder the
tip
government, but just the
guillotine. Guillotine, just the tip.
Right.
That's a disturbing image that I'm going to leave you with.
If you took,
circumcision.
If you took all the politicians, all the right-wing politicians, and made them into, put them all together to form a penis and had Donald Trump right at the top, and then you said just the tip, and then you had a guillotine there to cut him off, that's what their next campaign logo should be.
We're getting ridiculous now. This is just ridiculous.
Oh, my bad.
Of all the things we said, that's bullshit.
Absolutely. And that's what we're here for. But thank you guys so much for listening, and we will talk to you next month with some more anti-news, and stay tuned for the Monday morning interview shows and regular shows and QAnon Chronicles every Friday, and probably some anti-news hot takes and anti-news after parties in the Downers Club. But until next month, until March, that's the next month, right? Anti-news. Continue to question everything, stay uncomfortable, and don't die in the tire fire that is life. Goodbye.
It's like the worst kind of fire, too.
Hey Downers, if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. But more importantly, go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/thesystemIsDown, because the evil wizards of YouTube almost never let us monetize anything on here. Thanks.